Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today's meal prep is going to be a little all over the place. I have a little bit of everything, including some recipe testing that I would normally do in a separate video, but I thought it'd be fun just to throw it in today's video. So let's jump right in. So first up is some recipe testing for Thanksgiving. So one of my favorite Thanksgiving foods definitely is stuffing. So I'm going to be doing a test run with stuffing this week. First thing I need to do is find a keto bread recipe that will work in my stuffing recipe. I do a very basic traditional stuffing, which I'm going to ketify and we'll do in a separate video in the coming weeks. It'll probably be in about 2 weeks. So in my bowl, I have 6 egg whites and a 1/4 teaspoon of cream of tartar. I don't know how you say that. So you're going to want to beat the egg whites until soft peaks form. So I think this is supposed to make the bread airy, kind of nice and airy. It probably took me about 10 minutes to get them to the right consistency. Now in a food processor, you're going to mix together the 6 egg yolks, 1/3 of the egg whites, 5 tablespoons of melted butter, 1.5 cups of almond flour, 3 teaspoons of baking powder, and then some salt. So you're going to mix this until it forms a really thick dough. Like it'll be super thick to where your food processor doesn't even want to go anymore. And then you're going to add in the remaining egg whites and you're going to process that until everything is fully incorporated. Now the recipe does say to make sure you do not overmix it or it won't be very fluffy. So then you're going to pour this mixture into a loaf pan. I chose to add in some parchment paper because I wasn't sure how this would be and I didn't want it to stick. And then they say to bake it for 30 minutes and then let it cool completely. So I'll tell you right now, I wouldn't like this bread as like a sandwich bread. This has more of an eggy taste than even the 90-second bread that I eat all the time. But I'm hoping that in a stuffing that the eggy taste won't come through because of all the spices and all that I add in my stuffing. So I'm hoping that this will be okay. But this definitely, I don't recommend this as a bread recipe. So now that the bread has cooled, I'm going to cut it into cubes and spread it onto a baking sheet. Now normally I would drizzle a little bit of olive oil all over the bread cubes. That's what I've done in the past whenever I made my own stuffing bread cubes. However, I wasn't sure with this type of bread how it would react to olive oil. I didn't want to make it too soggy, so I just omitted that part. So this is going to go into a 250-degree oven for 90 minutes until the bread is like lightly toasted and completely dried out. So I'm hoping that this works out for my stuffing. If not, I do have another keto bread recipe that I'm going to try. It just has more carbs than this one did. So I was really trying to shave off the carbs by using this one that had the egg base to it. So I'm really thinking that this will be okay, but I will let you guys know when you see the stuffing recipe, you will know that which one I ended up using and if it came out okay. So this is what they look like after 90 minutes. I am very impressed with how crunchy they got and they really held their shape. So I'm going to bag these up until I need them later in this week. And these will last for several weeks. So I like to make my bread cubes like way ahead of time. That way the week of Thanksgiving, you're not running around crazy trying to make bread cubes. So you can make these like 3 weeks ahead of time, throw them into a Ziploc bag, and then they're there ready to go. So stay tuned for the stuffing recipe in the next couple of weeks. So now on to my lunches for the week. So first up is going to be a fried chicken dinner. This is complete with fried chicken, coleslaw, biscuits, and a country gravy for dipping. So first up are the drop biscuits. So this is the same recipe that I have shown several times. This is just the basic recipe. This recipe will be written down in the description box. So I'm going to be making a double batch of these biscuits since we are having biscuits and gravy for dinner tonight. I thought I'll just go ahead and make a double batch. So I personally like to keep these biscuits in the fridge, but I don't know if it's necessary. I just found that most of keto baked goods seem to stay fresher longer if refrigerated. So I'm going to go ahead and just put those in there when they're all done. So these will go into a 400-degree oven for about 12 minutes. I love using my Pampered Chef brownie pan for these biscuits. You can get a brownie pan anywhere on Amazon also, but I just feel like they are really nice for these biscuits. You could also use a regular muffin pan, but you don't have to. So here are my perfectly browned biscuits. I absolutely love these biscuits, and I make them pretty much every week. Remember, you can also turn these into like a savory biscuit and add in like garlic powder, onion powder, cheese, Italian herbs. Really is endless with these. You could even add like a cinnamon sugar and make them kind of a sweeter one. These are the best biscuits. So this is just the basic biscuit recipe. Okay, coleslaw time. So when I went to go look at my coleslaw recipe that I've been using for years and have changed it depending on whatever way of eating I was doing at that time, and I realized that I really don't even have to do much with this recipe at all. It's already really keto friendly. So in my bowl here, I'm adding in a half of a cup of mayo, 2 tablespoons of sweetener of your choice, 1.5 tablespoons of lemon juice, 1 tablespoon of apple cider vinegar, salt, and then lots of pepper. I love lots of pepper in my coleslaw. So now I tend to like my coleslaw on the sweeter side. If you like it tangier, then I suggest omitting the sweetener completely, or just start with maybe a teaspoon, taste it, add in more as needed. I just like mine a little bit sweeter. I think coleslaw is kind of like barbecue sauce. It just depends on where you're from and what you're used to having and what you grew up with. So I'm going to be pouring that over this package of coleslaw, and there you go. As with most salads like this, it seems like they're best eaten after they've been sitting in the refrigerator for a little bit. So I'm going to pop this in the fridge, and let's go on to working on the chicken tenders. Okay, so I get a lot of questions on how to make sure your breading sticks to your chicken. So I'm going to give you a few tips along the way, and I'm hoping that the next time you guys make chicken tenders, they'll come out perfect. So the first tip, and probably the most important one, is to make sure that your chicken is dry. I mean, completely dry. So like what I like to do is take them out of the refrigerator, lay them on some paper towels, and then cover those with more paper towels. And I let them kind of come to room temperature, and that just make sure that you pat them all dry really well before starting the breading process. So what you're going to need for the breading is almond flour. I think I used about 3/4 cup of almond flour, 2 beaten eggs, which I add a little bit of Tabasco to because I like a little bit of spice, 1.5 cups of crushed pork rinds. So I just crushed my pork rinds in a food processor. You can also buy them already crushed, but honestly, I think that's kind of expensive and it doesn't take long to crush them up. If you don't have a food processor, you can also do this in a blender or any kind of mixer. Like if you have like a smoothie mixer, I've used that before. You can also just put them into a gallon size Ziploc bag and just use a rolling pin and just roll it. I've done all of those things. They all work. And it's all really super easy. Pork rinds crush really simple. Okay, so now those are all done. So take one of your dry chicken tenders and dredge it in the flour. So here's the next tip. Shake the tender so that the excess flour comes off. You do want to have a thin layer of coating all over your chicken tender, but this is what the eggs stick to. So if it's, you have clumps of flour somewhere, the egg's going to stick to that and then it's just going to fall right off. So you want to make sure you kind of shake off any excess. This will really help your breading stick to the actual chicken. So give your tender a good shake, but make sure it's coated. Then dip into the beaten eggs, and you want to make sure the eggs completely coat the flour and coat your chicken tender. Then lastly, put it into your pork rinds. So the last tip is to make sure that you kind of push and pat the pork rinds into the chicken. So you want to, don't shake it, but just kind of pat it really well so it just really sticks to every bit of that, egg and flour that's on your chicken tender. So I'm going to go ahead and finish these up, and then we'll be ready to fry them up. I'm going to be using my air fryer for this. You can also use oil in a pan or put them in the oven, but I feel like they come out crispier either in oil, in a pan on your stovetop or in your air fryer. Air fryer is less messy, and believe me, you don't want me and oil and heat to combine because I burn myself all the time. So I'm going to be using, whenever I'm frying anything in my air fryer that has breading on it, I like to use these parchment circles. I bought them on Amazon. I will have them linked down below. They're really affordable, and I've had this package for over a year because I don't use them that often. But I feel like this really helps with the breading likes to stick to the baskets for some reason. I don't know why, but these really help not do that. Of course, you can also make your own from regular parchment. You can just put regular parchment in there. So you want to spray the paper with a cooking spray, lay your chicken pieces on top, and then spray the tops of your chicken with more cooking spray. And this will make them a little bit extra crispy. So you're going to put this in your air fryer at 390 degrees for 15 minutes, but stop it after about 10 minutes, flip them over, and then let them cook the other 5 minutes on the other side. And you guys, these came out so super crispy. The breading stayed on. Look at these. They came out amazing. And I had one left over that I was able to eat today for lunch, and it was absolutely amazing. Okay, so the last part of our fried chicken dinner is the country gravy dipping sauce that I'm going to be making. So since I am not having any meat in this gravy, I'm going to start this gravy off with some butter in my pot. I'm going to be adding in about 4 tablespoons of butter. Let that melt just a little bit before I add in about a cup of heavy cream. And then I'm going to add in a little bit of onion salt, some pink Himalayan salt, and lots of pepper. So I'm going to stir that up. And to make it thick, we're going to use xanthan gum. So I'm using 1/2 teaspoon of xanthan gum. I just sprinkle it right into my pan, whisk it up, bring it to a boil, and then you just allow it to simmer until it's nice and thick. It happens very, very quickly. And then, of course, you want to taste and adjust the seasonings as needed. Now, I find my xanthan gum in the bulk section of one of my grocery stores. It's like $15 a pound, but believe me, you guys, you only need to get like 1/4 of a pound, and that'll last you for a very long time. If you don't have it in the bulk section, it will cost you about $15 first time you buy it, but you'll get a big bag of it, and you guys, it lasts for so long. So you only need like 1/2 teaspoon at a time, if even that. So definitely worth to pick up if you do any kind of keto gravies and sauces. Okay, so time to assemble the chicken dinners. I'm going to be using these little cups I got from the Dollar Tree for the gravy. I'm adding in my little meal prep containers here, which I will have linked down below. I'm adding in 2 chicken strips, 1/3 cup of the coleslaw, the gravy, and a biscuit. So you guys, tell me if this doesn't look like something from KFC. You can probably already guess I am super excited for this week's lunches. This is definitely comfort food, so don't let anyone tell you that you can't have comfort food on keto, because this is prime example of fall comfort food. So if you recreate this meal, please tag me on social media. All my contact info is always down below. Okay, on to lunch number 2. So you've seen me make this before. It's an Italian salad with my creamy Italian dressing. This dressing is so simple, but it's packed full of flavor. It's simply 1 cup of mayo, 2 tablespoons of avocado oil, 4 tablespoons of red wine vinegar, 2 teaspoons of garlic powder, and 2 teaspoons of Italian herbs. That's it. Whisk it up, store it in the fridge. It'll last a couple weeks unless it gets eaten sooner, but it can last for a couple weeks in your refrigerator. And my most favoritist, is that even a word? I don't know. But my most favorite salad to go with this dressing is an Italian salad. Now, you could add olives to the salad. I personally do not like olives, so there's no olives in this, but I think it would go really well in this salad. So I'm chopping up some romaine hearts. I'm going to make a big batch of this salad so it's easy just to grab and go in the morning. So to the lettuce, I'm adding in some mozzarella cheese. As you can see, I ended up switching to a larger bowl that I could actually toss the ingredients easier in. So next up is chopping up the salami and pepperoni. I like to cut them into strips. And lastly is some sliced pepperoncini peppers. You guys, I can't speak. I just put a good size handful in there, and now time to toss this salad. I like to store this in a glass container because it will last the entire week if you store this in a glass container. And I'm going to be having this twice this week. Okay guys, so that's it. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to watch this video. And please make sure you check out the description box. I'll have recipes, links to all my meal prep containers, and all of that. So please comment, subscribe, and give this video a thumbs up. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye guys.